And we're off to go check the gifts again. Hey Gabby, are you happy? You got your ball? Okay, Gabby and I are back at the gifting area. We were just here yesterday restocking, and I'm really glad I got to get out here and see what everything looks like the day after. I don't get to do this very often. So it's definitely been hit. The bucket is still hanging. The plastic cover is the way it was when I left. The bucket is slightly cattywampus, but still hanging. Down here on the ground we've got the pie stuff and the waxed paper. So, let's see what we got here. Still some crumbs in here. And not seeing any damage. Nope, it's perfectly fine. Oh, a little bit of kink stuff right here on this very edge right there. And here's the tin. Well, there's evidence that a slice was taken from this pie before it was brought out. Wonder who that could have been. And there's kind of an interesting smear right there too. Okay. We don't have any really good dents other than that. Let's see, right there on the edge. And that edge of the lip is just slightly off right there. Other than that, looks pretty much okay. And then we've got the top over here. No dent. Just that one hole right there. One little hole. Okay, and then we've got the wax paper from the cheese, which, well, is torn. It's definitely torn. Doesn't really look chewed up, just torn. And here's the other piece of it here. Looks like it's been crumpled. Maybe something like this. I don't know. Doesn't appear to be chewed up, just torn up. Interesting. Well, I would say if that was raccoons that got up there, got the pie out of that bucket without the bucket falling down, and ate the whole pie and the whole block of cheese and 3 apples, we've got some really well-fed raccoons. There's a little mark there in the dirt. That's interesting. Get the camera down here a little better. Not really seeing any signs of toes or anything up here, but what else I'm not seeing is any sign of tread. So I don't think that was my boot. If that was my boot, let's see. Balance here. My boot has tread. So I don't think that's from me. Are you enjoying the rest of that pie there, Gabby? Yeah? Okay. Oh, one thing here. This jar with the seed and nut mix in it has been moved. It was over there. Let's see if I can get it to open. Yep, it's open. Opens easy. So maybe they were just full. It does have chew marks on the top, but those were already there when I brought it out. So anyway, I guess that's about it. And we're going to clean this up and go for a hike. Hello? How are you? Yeah? I like your whistles. Did you leave me the bones? Yeah? Thank you. It's very nice of you. It's very nice whistles. Thank you.
I'll throw you a ball if you want. Give it to me. I'll throw the ball. Oh.
Nope. It's my ball. Yes, we see how cool your ball is. Oh, are you teasing Sam? What would she do? She's already got one in her mouth.
Yes. Let's see what happens. Oh,
Yeah, she's already got a ball in her mouth. You little nut. A little nut.
On to the continuation. Okay, whatever. Just like your ball. She don't want to play touch. The bird sounds and then the owl calls and things like that. That was all when the weather was getting nice.
Uh-huh.
That's bringing them out. They don't like, they're like us, they don't like hanging out here when it's wet and nasty. I'm sorry. Like they came out here. I mean, think about it. They come out here, first day of snow. There's something to learn from. Come out here, first day of snow. 2 Squatch videos. The one behind the tree, standing there, and then the one up in the tree with the jar.
Yeah.
That was all on the first day of snow. It's like Sasquatch. First day of snow. Let's go ahead and enjoy this.
Yeah.
And same thing like humans.
Yep. They like the weather.
I think we need to do that.
Well, before I started making videos, I got that really cool picture of the handprint in the snow.
Yeah.
Right up here. And that was the very first snow of the season.
Uh-huh.
And there were no other tracks around. It was bare ground underneath this tree at the edge of the road where the snow just wasn't deep enough to get underneath the tree. So I found this. There were 3 prints there, but the one I took a picture of was the one that was really clear. Mm-hmm. But you could tell where one of the juveniles had come down that tree and just put his hand in the snow, just touched it. He just wanted to touch the snow, that was all. And he went back up the tree.
Back up the tree.
Back up the tree.
So that's why there's no prints.
That's why there's no other prints.
They they jump from tree to tree.
Yep.
Okay.
He just came down and touched the snow.
With a handprint.
With a
Well, see, we can learn a lot just from just all this stuff. Behavior, you can learn indirectly what they do.
Yeah, just got to follow the clues. Every now and then you get, a really gold nugget, that you can tie things to. And then other than that, you basically just got to go on speculation. But if you get enough speculation pointing at the same thing, leaning in the same direction, not just from our own experiences, but, with the help of the internet, we can combine the experiences of all the other people out there, and that starts to paint a pretty clear picture of things.
Yeah. You have that little strip of woods, and you need to come out by the property so I can show you that little strip down there.
Yeah.
And it's very narrow, and there's a fence and a shed, and there's a strip of woods, and it just goes around my property like that. So it's just a little strip. But over that fence you could see it. You could see the window was open and the TV was going.
Yeah.
And there was and the shed had an open area in the back where you can go and hide in it.
Yeah.
Out on the outside of the fence. So it's like it was the perfect situation for the Squatches to come there and look over the fence and look up at the TV and watch it.
Just watch it.
Watch the TV. It's just because I saw that I didn't know what it was at first. Then just looking up there and seeing kind of like flashing lights, and I didn't realize that was a neighbor's window because it was still a little dark. But I saw, you'd see that, and all of a sudden you saw these eyes. You saw, and they were moving together like that. but they were up really high, like my video talked about,
Wow.
like that. And then it came. What happened? You see the eyes come by like that, and then you could see one blinking like that.
Wow, that's pretty cool. Winking at you.
Red or goldish. I call it yellowish, reddish type eyes.
That's cool.
Up high, and so as I stood there, I just put my hand. I did this, and I put my hand out like that, and I stood there, and I did like this at him, and you saw the eyes staring at me. And it kind of come up like that.
Like he stood up?
Like he stood up, and it was up as high as I showed in my video where the eyes were.
Yeah.
That had to be 8-9 feet. And then the eyes, you could see the eyes started getting closer toward me. That's when I chickened out.
That was it. So now we know your limit.
Well, it's just, hey, it's dark. I got a couple of eyes staring at me and getting, like the eyes are getting closer, and they were wide apart.
Yeah.
Keep in mind, they
how
were
big
this
the head they were on.
They were on a big head. Ain't no elk. The elk had already taken off, and that was the other thing, was the elk was in close proximity. They were in the yard while the Squatches were over there watching TV or in that little strip. There was no elk dung or anything like that in that area over there. Okay? Yeah. But it was in my yard and stuff like that, and they got shooed off. So I'm thinking, we've heard of cases of the Sasquatch running with the elk.
Or following them. Yeah, I've seen them following them.
They're not adversarial with each other. I think they're almost like pets.
Maybe, well, I know they eat them.
Well, they eat
them.
But,
that's part of the thing is like down there at Ocean Shores with all those deer. They have been seen killing the deer, and they have been seen roaming amongst the deer.
Well, like shepherds.
Yeah. So, that's...
We do that with cows.
Yeah, they probably look after them, herd them here, herd them there.
And then when it's ready to eat one or slaughter one, it's the same difference.
And, if they're smart, they're going to, separate one from the group before they kill it, so the rest of them aren't going to panic every time they come around.
No, it makes perfect sense. I mean, that's another part of the behavior. They're meat eaters, and they shepherd their own, they probably take care of it.
Yeah, well, you got to figure that they've got to have some kind of control or limits on the amount of elk they're taking, or we probably wouldn't have any elk. So, they're not like out killing one every day. That's got to be a rare treat for them, and I suspect that it may be how the bigger, older ones sustain themselves. Whereas the juveniles might get some scraps, I think the juveniles are surviving more on...
But they don't have fridges.
No.
So it's like, you kill one, it's got to be a group event. Or, maybe something, they just eat really good on meat for a month or two before they do it again.
Yeah. Well, that old woodcutter, Joe, he used to come through town all the time. I haven't seen him in a while now. He was going to write down all his stories for me. He has had 4 encounters over his life.
Oh, okay.
And he told me one of them was down on the old Weyerhaeuser main line. He said that he saw a big one, not a really big one, but a big one, and a small one cross the road in front of him carrying what he assumed were elk parts, legs or, body parts. And, so they were each carrying...
Parts of the elk.
Parts of an elk.
They kind of pulled it apart.
And
wherever they're taking it, the whole thing won't fit, so we got to put it in pieces.
Yeah. So, it could be feeding several different family groups, I suppose, There could be, I'm purely speculating, but there could be, like a couple of older brothers, a family that the siblings, now have their families, who have their families. They're the old guys, they're the big guys, they might get together every now and then, take out an elk. And then each family gets to pack something home, to share, to feed their elderly or their babies or their women or whatever, that might be something that when it happens that they take out an elk, it gets split up amongst many. You can only speculate on that, but either way, I don't think it's something that happens all the time.
No, and the thing we don't know is I always suspect that they're underground. That they have underground dwellings or in the ground or cave or something or another. So, and that's generally cooler temperatures and things like that, where you could actually store things for a longer period of time,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Instead of being out in the open.
Yeah. And, you got to think that's one of the things people do with meat is let it, rot for a little while to tenderize it.
Well, that's what the bears do. Someone was telling me bears, they just... who was telling? They let it rot so
Merzzinski? Gosh, I can't think of the name. Something like John Mazinski, something like that. Anyway, he's a biologist, and he did a presentation over at the Yakima Roundup. And that's one thing that he told us about that I was unaware of before, is that when a bear kills something, it doesn't eat the meat. It'll eat, the guts, the soft parts, and then it'll leave the rest until it
rots.
Well, not necessarily until it's maggots.
Yeah.
And then it eats the maggots that are consuming the meat. So
it's not a red meat. It's not necessarily into the red meat.
No, it eats, the stomach, the lungs, the liver, all that stuff.
Oh, okay.
But the rest of the meat, it just leaves it. It might kick some leaves over it, or just hang around in the area for a few days.
Yeah.
But it waits for the maggots to take over, and then it comes back and it feeds off of the parasites.
Right.
Yeah. Had no idea. Who'd have figured?
It helps to know something about the other critters.
Yes, it does. And even the other critters, there's so much to learn.
It's like I told you, the possibility of strip bark off the trees that we see is just, and I've been reading that you can make bark jerky, basically, pine bark jerky.
Really?
Yes.
Edible?
Yeah, that was one of the things I talked about in some of my comments was I read research where there's certain type of pine trees, you strip the young bark because, it has
to get that fine, fresh stuff inside.
Yeah,
there's a name for that.
It's a resin of
something like that,
But it's too fibery for you to eat as a human. Maybe Sasquatches or other animals can do it. But if you take it and cook it in oil, and make it crispy, then it becomes completely edible and digestible. And it's loaded with vitamin C.
Really?
I know that.
You gonna try it?
Well, I'll try it once at least.
Yeah.
But I know about the pine bark because the product that I take all the time for one of my nutritional products with OPC3 from our company actually has pine bark in it.
Really?
Pine bark extract, and that's what some of the early explorers who came over here, they would eat the bark of the tree to prevent them from getting scurvy.
So it must have a lot of vitamin C.
Yeah, there was a lot of vitamin deficiency back in the early days. The early explorers of the country, they would eat the pine bark.
Well, that's good to know.
Yeah. So
we don't have a lot of pine trees up here, but I do know where there is quite a few upriver here. That little
these are considered cedars?
Hemlocks, firs.
What are these considered?
The big ones in here are the cottonwoods.
Well, not those, but the evergreen trees.
Yeah, those are firs.
Okay, the firs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then there's some cedars and hemlocks.
But you don't read a lot of information. Fir trees are similar to pine trees. They're kind of maybe a little bit different family, but I've been trying to do more research about what's edible with these trees because I think there's a big connection with part of the diet habits of the Sasquatch. I really believe that.
Oh yeah, and well, one of the things that I personally think that they eat, and I'm not seeing any of it right here handy. Oh yes, I am. Okay, let's go over here. You see this lichen, moss, whatever you want to call it up here, that's like hair that hangs down off of there?
Spanish moss.
Kind of like that, yeah.
Yeah.
But that's the kind of stuff that grows way up in the treetops really thick, and that would be, a really easy, healthy food source.
Would you think it's edible?
Oh, you want to try it?
Yeah, it's an algae sort.
Here's some right here. Yeah, just pluck it right off. I don't know. Taste it.
Good.
What's it smell like?
It smells like hay.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's just... Well, you could do some weird stuff like you could do, the glass. How you do a flat glass in between things.
Yeah, that would be very pretty.
You could actually do some decorative things.
Very crafty stuff with it.
Oh, yeah.
But back to the subject of being edible.
Well, I said it looked like you'd be using art, but I'm not ready to try something and.
Okay. I don't blame you. I'm not going to try it either.
We already talked about the mushrooms you can or can't eat.
Yeah.
So...
they're edible, but I don't like the little worms. And you know, that little cluster of stuff might be perfectly edible, but for all I know, it's also saturated in squirrel or raccoon pee, so I'm not trying it. No. So before we're done today, we'd like to send a little shout out to a sweet little girl in Australia by the name of Shelly. Hi, Shelly. We're sending you a great big hug and a great big lick from Gabby. Come here, Gabby. Gabby, can you send Shelly a lick? Can you send her a lick? Here we go. Here we go. Big lick. Oh, Gabby loves you, Shelly. Gabby. Right here, look.